This is a 10-minute clip in bits and pieces of an LCM recovery along at Devonport Naval Base, port side. So I'll just talk you through it, just so you can get an idea of what's happening. The LCM is about 15 metres below us on the port side of the Canterbury, and it's just coming alongside, getting ready to bring it back on board. That's Russell there in the orange. He's the NCOIC for the salt to recover this LCM. The other Navy people you see there helping out. It's quite a large evolution where the Special Seamen's Branch get involved. The crane operator is Private Probistal. He's developing good skills over time, and those are the large round slings that we've had specially made to make our job easier. The person on the left of Russell is the Chief Boatswain's mate. He's in charge of the seamen who are working with the salt to recover the LCM. Right about now, the LCM is probably being moored alongside with a forward line and an aft line, and you see there, Private Probistal is lowering the round slings down to a position where the LCM crew can hook them up. The block you see coming into sight weighs approximately 5 to 6 tonne, so it does sway around a fair bit when we're at sea, and it takes a good operator to sort of control that swing, particularly when there's a load on it. You see now they're hooking up the slings. Quite an easy process while we're alongside, a little bit more difficult when we're out in midstream with all the movement of the ship and the LCM combined. You can see there on the left rear sling, as it comes into view, there's a slight twist in it. The job can still be done, but we in the military like to have everything uniform, so Russell lower that hook down a bit so that it can slack it up and they can fix that little problem. The noise you hear in the background is the crane itself. It makes a bit of a whine, but you get used to it after a while. They've obviously got and finished the hooking up, and very shortly you'll see a rib come along the back of the LCM to take the LCM crew off. No personnel are allowed on the LCM while it's being hoisted back onto the ship or into the sea. You can hear the Chief Boatswain's mate yelling out instructions down to the LCM crew, and you now see the boat alongside extracting the LCM crews. This manoeuvre here is a little bit tricky also while we're at sea. We haven't had any major difficulties, but it only takes a little bit of inattention for something to go drastically wrong, particularly when you're dealing with these types of evolutions. Alright, you can hear the Chief Boatswain's mate in the background. He's just getting approval from the EXO, who's the safety officer, for approval to bring the LCM back on board, and he'll work closely with Russell and hand the reins over to Russell so that Russell can carry out the crane evolution. Russell's taking control now, and he's using his hand signals to the crane operator, Private Probistal, who will slowly bring the LCM up along port side and raise it so that it's up over the cradles under instruction by the NCOIC salt, Lance Corporal Russell. that cheek post and mate you heard just then, he's just yelled out for his aft manpower to heave in on the aft line, and what that does is that helps keep the LCM parallel with the side of the vessel, so that either the front or the back of the LCM doesn't turn into the side of the ship. If something like that happened, then Russ would obviously, being keenly aware of it, motion for the crane operator to move the boom outward, getting the whole LCM away from the side of the ship. You can see now that the vessel, or say again the LCM, is on its way up, nice and slow. We are still working through the process of how fast or how slow we should go to do this, and I guess it depends a lot on the conditions at the time. You don't want to be messing around there when the seas are fairly rough. You want to take advantage of getting it on as quickly as possible so that you don't have to deal with repetitive swings. Right now Russ is in charge, everyone's sort of moved back, and he's monitoring the lift of the LCM so that it comes above the outside cradles, and you can see that cradle there is one of the cradles. Russ is fairly good at it. He's got a good feel of the motion of the sea and the effect it has on the load and the hook, and he is able to very effectively and confidently give the LCM operator, say again the crane operator, good instructions on how to kill the load and quieten down the load so that it's easier to get on. You might have noticed one of the Navy guys started to talk to Russell as he was working. That's pretty much a no-no. Russ needs to keep his focus on the LCM. So, in my view, if they do that, then Russ will obviously have a word with him afterwards to say, hey, just get on with your job, and let Russ get on with his, so that everyone is on the ball and focused on their prime responsibilities. LCM's coming over the cradle. It's nice and high. The LCM itself weighs around about 57 tonne. If they don't deballast it properly, it'll weigh over 60 tonne, in which case Russell's instructions as the inter IC is to, once he's confirmed the weight, as he's taken up the weight on the LCM, if it's over 60, he's to put it back down in the water as quickly as possible, as soon as possible, and advise command. And command will decide whether they're going to approve to continue with the lift or send the ship, the LCM, away to get the rest of the ballast water out of it. You can see how dangerous this evolution can be if we had a catastrophic failure of the crane itself, or one of the slings, or a number of the slings. This amount of weight, 60 tonne or 57 tonne, landing on 01 port deck, which is the deck you see now, is going to create some significant problems for the vessel in terms of stability and the potential damage to the hull of the ship itself. Okay, you see this cradle here. Let's see if it's breaking. The center cradle. When we are doing our operations, we have to get the back end of the LCM in front of that. Normally when you've got a pitch swing, which is forward and aft, the back of that LCM comes over the top of that, so we've got to time it. Russell's got to time it quite nicely, so that by the time he takes it down past the rubber pads in this area here, that this area here is sitting below it and not above it, or so it'll come up this way like this. Pretty straightforward. You notice all these seaman branch people who are operating the mooring lines, they are in quite a dangerous position when it comes to working this evolution. This operation is almost complete. Russ is undoing those lines, and we're fairly well done here. So that's just a little example. Okay, thanks.